Coruscant was already falling into fear. The war had pushed the Republic to the edge, and Chancellor Palpatine stood at the center of it all, calm, patient, and ready. Count Dooku was dead. General Grievous was still at large. Anakin Skywalker was closer than ever to the dark side. Everything was moving as Sidious had planned. But deep below the city, in a hidden chamber sealed from all records, another presence awakened. Darth Plagueis had survived. For years, Sidious believed his master was gone, erased in the silent murder that began his rise. Yet Plagueis had used the very knowledge he once chased without rest. He had bent death, delayed it, and hidden himself in darkness. Now, as the Jedi Order weakened and the Republic began to crack, Plagueis returned to see what his apprentice had built. And he was not pleased. Palpatine did not seek the true power of the Sith. He sought a throne. He wanted empire, fear, and absolute rule. To Plagueis, that was too small. The Sith were meant to reshape life itself. Sidious wanted control. Plagueis wanted godhood. Watching from the shadows, Plagueis studied every step of the final plan. He saw Anakin's pain. He saw the trap around the Jedi. He saw that Sidious stood only one move away from total victory. So Plagueis made his choice. He would let the plan begin. He would let the Jedi fall. And when his apprentice reached for the crown of the galaxy, Plagueis would take it from him. As Palpatine prepared to reveal himself to Anakin, another Sith Lord stepped into the game at last. Anakin Skywalker was already breaking. The war had drained him. The Council watched him with doubt. Every vision of Padmé's death fed the fear inside him. Palpatine had shaped that fear for months. But now, another shadow reached for him. Darth Plagueis entered the game. He did not come as a ruler. He came as an answer. Through the Force, he pressed a single promise into Anakin's mind. Padmé could be saved. Sidious offered power. Plagueis offered mastery over life and death. To a desperate man, that difference was everything. So when Palpatine revealed himself as Darth Sidious, Anakin hesitated even less than before. He still warned Mace Windu. He still raced back to the Chancellor's office. But his heart was already split. The Jedi demanded trust. Sidious demanded action. Plagueis whispered that only the Sith could stop death. When Windu drove Sidious to the floor, Anakin saw the future closing in. If Sidious died, Padmé died with him. That fear ruled his hand. He struck. Mace fell through the shattered window. Sidious rose, scarred but alive. Then the room grew cold. Another figure stepped from the dark, tall and calm, his eyes fixed on his former apprentice. Plagueis had returned. And in that moment, the fate of the Republic twisted into something worse. For the first time in years, Sidious looked afraid. His perfect victory was no longer his alone. Anakin stared at both Sith Lords and understood the truth. He had not fallen to one master. He had fallen between two monsters, each claiming they could shape destiny. Sidious named him Darth Vader. Plagueis called him the key to immortality. As clone troopers across the galaxy received the order to kill the Jedi, Vader knelt before two Sith Lords, and the coming war between them had already begun. The Jedi were dying, and on Coruscant, Darth Vader had just become the prize in a battle between two Dark Masters. With Order 66 spreading across the galaxy, Darth Plagueis stopped hiding and began searching. Beneath Coruscant, he entered Sidious's private vaults and unlocked holocrons, war files, and coded journals. Every record told the same story. Sidious had stolen more than power. He had stolen the future Plagueis wanted to build. Plagueis learned that Sidious had shaped the Clone Wars not to advance Sith knowledge, but to crown himself emperor. He had turned Dooku into a tool, Grievous into a weapon, and the Republic into prey. Worst of all, he had lied to Anakin Skywalker. The promise of saving Padmé was never complete. Sidious did not know how to stop death. He only knew how to use fear. That truth changed everything. Plagueis no longer saw Vader as Sidious's apprentice. He saw him as the final proof of Sidious's betrayal. Anakin had been broken, not chosen. And broken men could still be turned. So Plagueis approached the new Sith Lord in silence. He did not threaten him. He showed him the evidence instead. Recordings of secret meetings, orders tied to Padmé's death, and old research proving Sidious had murdered his own master for power alone. Vader listened without moving. But behind the mask of his new loyalty, doubt began to grow. At the same time, Sidious felt the shift in the dark side. He knew Plagueis was poisoning his victory. He knew Vader was no longer fully his. For the first time since taking power, the future slipped from his hands. The Emperor summoned his guards, sealed the Senate district, and prepared for war inside his own capital. Across the burning skyline of Coruscant, master and apprentice became hunters again. And between them stood Vader, the weapon both Sith were willing to kill for before dawn came. Sidious moved to crush the threat before it could spread. Plagueis moved to tear down the Empire before it was born. And on Coruscant, the Sith were finally about to go to war with each other. Night fell over Coruscant, but the capital never slept. Sirens echoed through the Senate district. Gunships crossed the sky. Clone troopers sealed entire avenues as the new empire was born in secrecy and blood. Inside the shadows of the city, Darth Sidious and Darth Plagueis began their war. No armies marched for them. No banners flew. This battle was fought with assassins, force visions, and sudden death. Sidious sent shock troops and royal guards into the underlevels. Plagueis answered with hidden cultists, stolen droids, and darkside rituals that made the lights fail across entire sectors. Vader stood between them, pulled in both directions. Sidious demanded obedience. Plagueis demanded awakening. One promised order, the other promised power beyond death. Every word struck Anakin where he was weakest. Padme. Then the trap closed. Sidious learned Plagueis had reached the Senate security grid. If he seized it, he could expose the truth behind the Clone Wars. Panic flashed across the Emperor's face. He attacked first, hurling lightning through the grand halls beneath the Senate. Plagueis met it with a wall of dark energy, and the building itself began to break. Windows burst. Statues crashed. Fire spread through ancient chambers where the Republic had once spoken of peace. Vader ignited his blade and finally moved. He did not defend Sidious. He did not strike Plagueis. Instead, he cut down the guards closing in and opened a path for himself. He would not be anyone's slave again. But escape was impossible. Sidious saw defiance. Plagueis sensed opportunity. Both reached for Vader at the same time, and the galaxy watched blindly. Far above the battle, Obi-Wan Kenobi felt the shock in the Force and turned his ship back toward Coruscant. Obi-Wan's starfighter cut through the smoke above Coruscant and dropped into the ruined Senate district. He had come expecting one evil. Instead, he felt three storms in the Force: Sidious, Plagueis, and the broken fire of Anakin Skywalker. He found Anakin in a shattered hall, standing between dead guards and burning pillars. Red light flashed across his face. For one moment, Obi-Wan saw the boy he had trained. Then Vader raised his blade. "Anakin, come back with me. There is no way back." Obi-Wan moved only when he had to. Vader answered with speed, rage, and brute strength. But his strikes lacked focus. He was not fighting for Sidious or Plagueis. He was fighting the fear inside himself. Every blow shook the chamber. Every step drove them deeper into the broken heart of the Republic. Above them, the Sith turned on each other without mercy. Sidious hurled lightning through cracked floors. Plagueis answered with dark waves that bent steel and split stone. Their duel tore open towers, killed clones, and painted the night sky with fire. Between strikes, Obi-Wan kept pleading. He spoke of Padme. He spoke of the Jedi. He spoke like a brother begging a brother to stop. But Plagueis had filled Anakin with new lies, and Sidious had burned away the last of his trust. Anakin no longer saw a path home. He only saw enemies closing in. Then the ceiling exploded. A blast from the Sith duel threw both men apart. Obi-Wan crashed into fallen stone. Vader dropped to one knee. Through the flames, Sidious called for his apprentice. Plagueis answered first. "Help me destroy him," he said, "and Padme will live." For one terrible second, Anakin lowered his blade. Obi-Wan saw the choice in his eyes and knew the galaxy balanced there now. Before Anakin could answer, another presence entered the battle. Yoda had returned to Coruscant, and he was coming for Sidious. Yoda entered the ruined Senate chamber like a storm wrapped in silence. Around him, broken stone floated through the air, lit by fire and red saber light. Sidious turned at once, his yellow eyes sharp with fury. For a brief moment, even Plagueis stepped back. The oldest Jedi Master had arrived, and the dark side itself seemed to recoil. Yoda wasted no time. He struck Sidious first, driving him away from Vader and into the shattered center of the chamber. Their blades crashed in flashes of green and red. Lightning ripped across the walls. The Force shook every level beneath them. This was no longer a hidden coup. It was the final battle for the soul of the Republic. But Plagueis did not join the fight to help Yoda. He moved for revenge. While Sidious battled the Grand Master, Plagueis reached into the chamber with the Force and unleashed the knowledge he had saved for years. He attacked Sidious's body, his breath, his blood. This was not rage. This was precision. Plagueis wanted his apprentice to suffer the way he had suffered in the dark. Sidious felt it instantly. His power faltered. Yoda saw the weakness and pressed harder, forcing the Emperor back step by step. Vader watched in silence, torn between fear and wonder. For the first time, he saw Sidious bleed, and that changed everything. If the Emperor could fall, then his promises could die with him. Plagueis turned to Vader and spoke above the chaos. "Help me finish this, and Padme lives." Yoda heard the lie, but he also heard Anakin's heartbeat change. The trap was closing again. One Sith wanted revenge, the other wanted survival. Both wanted Vader. Then Sidious screamed, released a wave of lightning, and brought the Senate Tower crashing down around them all. Fire swallowed the chamber, and the three most powerful beings on Coruscant vanished into the falling ruins. When the dust cleared, Vader would have to choose, and the galaxy would never recover from what came next. When the Senate Tower collapsed, Coruscant shook like the galaxy itself was breaking. Fire rolled through the ruins. Clone troopers scattered. Senators fled. And, beneath the falling stone, Anakin Skywalker opened his eyes. Vader rose from the wreckage alone. His armor was cracked. His lungs burned. His mind was worse. Sidious had lied. Plagueis had lied. Padme was still dying. The Jedi were almost gone, and the Republic was already dead. For one long moment, Vader said nothing. He listened to the screams above, the blaster fire in the streets, the panic spreading across Coruscant. This was the Empire's first night, and it was already drowning in chaos. Obi-Wan searched the ruins for him. Yoda fought to survive under broken stone. Sidious vanished into the smoke to gather guards and clones. Plagueis moved through the darkness, hunting his apprentice with patient hate. Vader could have run. He could have helped Obi-Wan. He could have chosen one Sith over the other. Instead, he did something more dangerous. He took command. Using his authority as the Emperor's new enforcer, Vader seized clone channels, locked down the district, and ordered every unit to stand back. The city obeyed him. For the first time, Anakin felt what real power was. Not promises, not prophecy, control. Then Padme's pain hit him through the Force like a blade. Her life was fading fast. Everything he had done was failing. Rage swallowed reason. He ignited his saber and called both Sith Lords out into the open. Across the ruined Senate Plaza, Sidious answered. From the shadows below, Plagueis answered too. And as dawnless smoke drifted over Coruscant, Vader stood between them like judgment itself, ready to face them both before the Empire could decide who truly ruled it. The final Sith War was about to begin. The ashes had not settled. The Empire had not stabilized. And Vader was done kneeling. Now Sidious and Plagueis would face each other in the open, with Darth Vader standing at the center of their final reckoning. Morning never truly came to Coruscant. Smoke covered the sky, and ash drifted through the shattered Senate ruins where the Empire had been born. From that grave of stone and fire, Darth Sidious rose first, burned, but alive. Darth Plagueis followed, wounded yet smiling, and between them stood Vader. Silent, damaged, and finally done being used. Yoda was trapped beneath the fallen chamber, holding back tons of wreckage through the Force. Obi-Wan fought through clones to reach him, but neither could stop what came next. Sidious attacked Plagueis with all the hate he had hidden for years. Lightning screamed across broken pillars. Plagueis answered with a colder power, crushing veins, slowing breath, bending life itself against his former apprentice. The duel was savage, personal, and merciless. This was not just revenge. It was the rule of two devouring itself. Then Sidious shouted the truth. Padme was dying already. No Sith secret had saved her. No promise had ever been real. Both masters had chained Anakin with the same lie. Vader moved. He did not choose Plagueis. He did not choose Sidious. He chose rage. His blade drove through Plagueis's chest, ending the ancient Sith dream in a single strike. Then he turned on Sidious. The Emperor survived only because Obi-Wan and Yoda broke free and forced Vader back from the kill. Sidious escaped into the night, scarred, shaken, and now afraid of his own apprentice. When the fires finally dimmed, Coruscant still belonged to the Empire. But its future had changed. Sidious still held the throne. Vader still wore the mask. Yet trust between them was dead, and the Sith victory already carried the seed of ruin. Far away, Padme took her final breaths, and somewhere in the Force, Luke and Leia entered a galaxy already at war. The Empire had won, but the Sith had failed each other. Sidious kept his throne, Vader kept his anger, and the children of Anakin Skywalker were born into a future that would one day come for them both. With doubt, every vision of Padme's death fed the fear inside him. Palpatine had shaped that fear for months. But now, another shadow reached for him. Darth Plagueis entered the game. He did not come as a ruler. He came as an answer. Through the Force, he pressed a single promise into Anakin's mind. Padme could be saved. Sidious offered power. Plagueis offered mastery over life and death. To a desperate man, that difference was everything. So when Palpatine revealed himself as Darth Sidious, Anakin hesitated even less than before. He still warned Mace Windu. He still raced back to the Chancellor's office. But his heart was already split. The Jedi demanded trust. Sidious demanded action. Plagueis whispered that only the Sith could stop death. When Windu drove Sidious to the floor, Anakin saw the future closing in. If Sidious died, Padme died with him. That fear ruled his hand.